Hari Om, everybody. It's 10 o'clock. We will get started. Ganana Tva Ganapatigum Havamahe Kavin Kavinamupamashravastamam Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspatana Shrunvannuti Dasadanam Prano Devi Saraswati Vajebirvajini Vati Dhinam Vityavate Om Ganeshaya Namaha Om Saraswatyai Namaha Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Shuklam Baradaram Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasanna Vadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantaye Vagishadya Sumanasaha Sarvarthanam Upakrame Yam Natva Kritakritya Syuhu Tam Namami Gajananam Vakratunda Mahakaya Koti Surya Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhirbhavatu Me Sada Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Parampara Brahmanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasyadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namam Sadgurum Tam Namami Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpada Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharya Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bedha Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Yasya Sannidhi Matrena Sarve Shishyascha Sevakaha Karmakshetre Pravartante Chinmayam Tam Namamyaham Chinmayam Tam Namamyaham Chinmayam Tam Namamyaham. Hari Om, everybody. Welcome back to our weekly Vedanta classes on Viveka Choodamani. Let us get started with our Mangalacharana Shloka. Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Sadgurum Pranatosmyaham. Last week, having understood the Pancha Kosha Viveka, we reviewed the three-step process outlined by Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji. Panchanam api koshanam nishedhe yuktitaha shrutehe. Because of this topic on hand is atindriya vishaya, meaning beyond the comprehension of our senses. We have adopted the same methodology as prescribed by the Upanishads, the neti approach, nishedha. We negate the five sheets, all the anatma vishaya, with the help of Shruti Pramana, with the help of the pointers given in the scriptures, and then through logical reasoning, yukti, and by applying the paritoshaka nyaya, the law of reminder, we arrive at this witness principle, the substratum, the knowledge absolute, Jnana Swarupa, that is the Atman. See here, first we need the Shruti Pramana. We need a good understanding of the self from the scriptures, how it is pointed out in the Upanishads. Then we need logical reasoning, yukti. What does that do? It gives us intellectual conviction. But finally, we have to experience the self ourselves, anubhuti. Tannishedhavadhi sakshi bodharupaha avashishyate. That Atman, which is of the nature of consciousness, that is our eternal blissful nature. Then he went on to reinforce that this Atman needs to be realized by the wise man as his own self. That self-effulgent Atman, Swayam Jyoti, that Atma which is distinct from the five sheets, Panchakosha Vilakshanaha. That Atma which is Avastatraya Sakshi, the witness principle in the three states of my existence, the waking, the dream, and the deep sleep state. That Atma which is Nirvikari, the changeless, that does not undergo any modifications. Niranjana, untainted. Sadananda, that everlasting bliss. How? Not as an object, but Vigneya Swatmatvena, but as our own true self. Then we saw the Shishya came back with a meaningful question as to how, after negating, he ended up with nothingness, shunya, pure non-existence, as proposed by the nihilists of the Buddhism. For that, Guru came back admiringly, nipunosi vicharane. He said, go back to the drawing board, go back to your meditation, and clarified when everything is negated, focus on who is that knower of this non-existence. Who is the knower of this absence of everything? He goes on to clarify that Atman is the witness of that absence. That is the Purna Swarupa. That alone is real. And everything else is Nama Rupa, names and forms. Then Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji gave us some great pointers on the true nature of ourselves, some great Atma Lakshanas, a lot of pointers for our meditation. We will quickly recap the ones we saw last week, because these are direct pointers from the Upanishads, our scriptures. And then we will see a couple of more new ones today and the topic we will cover. We covered all of these. Gatam jalam tadgatamarka bimbam vihaya sarvam vinirikshaterkaha tatastayetritayavabhasakaha swayam prakasho vidusha yata tatha. See this example. He gave us the Pratibimba Vada. There is a pot, gata, there is water, jala, and the water in that pot, and the reflection of the sun in it. The Vidusha, the wise man, what does he do? He leaves aside the jar, that is the body, water in it, the reflection of the sun in it, and turns his attention to the luminous sun directly. He realizes that the sunlight, arka, that is illumining the pot, the water reflection, all have no independent existence. And then in 220, he told us, Deham dhiyam chit pratibimbamevam visrujya buddhau nihitam guhayam drashtaram bodham sarva prakasham sadasadvilakshanam. Similarly, discarding the body, meaning body identity, the buddhi or the reflected consciousness, the chidabhasa, in this case, Chit Pratibimba, and realizing that self as the witness, as knowledge absolute, and realizing that is the cause of manifestation of all these. And then we saw quite a few Swarupa Lakshana of Atma in those verses. Drashtaram, third line, the seer, not the seen. Druk Drushya Viveka. Meaning that Sakshi which illumines everything, that is our true nature. Akhanda Bodham, undivided consciousness, that because of which all other knowledge is possible for us. This is how we need to meditate on the Atma Vishaya. Sarva Prakasham, that illumines, that which illumines everything. Not just the presence of things, but also the absence of everything. Very key point. Sad Asat Vilakshanam, that which is beyond the cause and the effect, that which is beyond causality, that which is beyond gross and subtle, that which is beyond the form and the formless. And then in the next verse, Nityam Vibhum Sarvagatam Susukshmam Antarbahe Shunyam Ananyamatmanah Vignaya Samyak Nijarupame Tat Puman Vipapma Virajo Vimrutyuhu. Nityam, that which is eternal. These are all Upanishadic quotes. That which is changeless. Sarvagatam, that which is all pervasive. Vibhum, that which is omnipresent, present everywhere. Susukshmam, that which is extremely subtle. Antarbahihi shunyam, devoid of division within and without. Meaning that which is homogeneous. Ananyamatmanaha. This is our true nature. This cannot be recognized as an object existing somewhere inside or outside. He said, how do we realize this Atma? When we realize this Atma, Vipapma, we become free from all of the sins. Virajaha, we become free from all the impurities. Fourth line. Vimrutyuhu, we become free from samsara, the life of cycle of birth and death. We become free from this bondage. And further, in 222, he said, Vishoka Ananda Ghano Vipaschit Swayam Kutaschin Nabibeti Kaschit Nanyosti Pantha Bhavabandha Mukte Vinasvatatvavagamam Mumuksho. Point number 11, Vishoka. We become free from sorrow. Ananda Ghana. That is this homogeneous mass of joy. Swayam Kutaschin Nabibeti Kaschit. That wise man who has realized this Atman has no fear of anything. He becomes fearless. Nanyosti Pantha Bhavabandha Muktehe. There is no other way to free ourselves. Upanishad says, Nanya Panta Vidyate Ayanaya. There is no other way to know this Atma. Then in 223, he said, Brahma abhinnatva vijnanam bhava mokshasya karanam yenadvitiyamanandam brahma sampadhyate budhaihi. That's our topic on hand. Brahma abhinnatva gnanam, abhinnatva vijnanam. Knowing that I am not different from that Brahman. This realization of our identity with Brahman, that oneness, bhava mokshasya karanam. That supreme identification leads us to freeing from this bondage of samsara, freeing from samsara, by which yena advitiyam anandam brahma sampadyate budhaihi. That wise man, budhaihi, attains Brahman. Brahmavit brahmaiva bhavati. The knower of Brahman becomes Brahman. Actually, to say even becomes Brahman is erroneous. The knower of Brahman is Brahman. Then we saw a direct quote from the Taittiriya Upanishad. Satyam gnanamanantam brahma vishuddham param swata siddham nityanandaikarasam pratyak abhinnam nirantaram jayati. Brahman is, this is the best definition of Brahman. Brahman is gnanam. That Brahman is absolute knowledge. Brahman is anantam. It has no adi and anta. No beginning, no end. Ananta. Satyam gnanam anantam brahma. This is the definition of Brahman from the Upanishad. This is the principal, supreme reality. Vishuddham. It is pure existence, pure consciousness. Param. Supreme. It transcends everything else. Transcendental. Swatasiddham. It is self-evident, meaning there is no other instrument necessary to know it. Swayam Jyoti, self-effulgent. Swayam Prakasha, self-illuminating. Nityanandaika Rasam, it is absolute bliss. Jayati, that is what is there in all our bosoms. This is the final message of the Upanishads, that oneness, that this Atman is Brahman. So today, before we get into go through this topic, let us get a few things clarified. A lot of people get confused at this phase. A lot of people talk like this, that I've heard there are 4 mahavakyas in the Upanishads. I've looked at, never understood the way it is, I attended a few lectures on that before, never understood, and so on and so forth. So let us get a good understanding, some of the terms before we dwell on that topic. I'll try to simplify it as simple as possible. And next class also will spend some time on this. We heard until now Atman. The term Atman. So Atman is the term given to that Sat Chit Ananda principle. Sat is existence, Chit is consciousness, Ananda is bliss. Sat Chit Ananda Swarupa. And this Atman is considered as the substratum of this microcosm conditioning, Upadhi, at the individual level, meaning individual, gross, subtle, causal body, all that we have gone through conditioning. You will also hear the term Vyasti. At the individual level, Vyasti. Now, what is Brahman? Not Shiva, Vishnu, Brahma, not the creator Brahma, not the Chaturmukha Brahma. Brahman is the term Bruhatvat iti Brahma, the big. This is the term used to give the Sat Chit Ananda principle when considered as the substratum of the macrocosmic conditioning, the cosmos, the samashti. So at the individual level, you have Yasti, microcosm. At the macro level, you have samashti. Hope you're with me. The cosmos. Otherwise, it is called as Brahmanda. See, there are 14 words. 7 above, 7 below. Even in the Gayatri mantra, we say Om Bhur Suvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi. There is 7 upper world. World above, Bhu, Bhuvaha, Suvaha, Mahaha, Janaha, Tapaha, Satyam, 7. The lower words, Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Rasatala, Talatala, Mahatala, Patala. 7 words below. Together, stay with me, together these 14 words are lokas. They're called Brahmanda. And there are infinite Brahmandas. So when we go to a place like Tirupati and call our Lord Vishnu, Sakala Koti Brahmanda Nayaka. That Brahmanda we are talking about. Samasti. So let us keep this simple for our understanding. So at the individual level, microcosm conditioning, it is Vyasti. At the macrocosm conditioning, with that it is Samasti. Meaning totality of all, excuse me, totality of, excuse me, totality of all of the gross bodies. I mean, all beings, not just humans, all beings. That is called as Ishvara. At the individual level, if I forget due to my delusion, moha, And I identify with my conditioning, upadhis, I am called the jiva. Because of this jiva bhava, I feel that sense of limitedness. I feel I am alpa shaktiman. I know very little, alpagna. This is called parichinnatva. I feel limited being. Whereas Ishvara is sarvagna, sarvashaktiman, all pervading. So now the Upanishads or Vedanta, here is where it comes in and says or questions those differences in their nature. These are because of the qualifying conditionings at the micro and the macro level, and establishes them as mithya or false, illusory. I hope you are understanding. This is Mahavakya Vichara in a nutshell. Then one will question, how is this possible? This is Advaita Vedanta. The essence of Vedanta is found in these great declarations of the Upanishads or Mahavakyas. There are numerous Mahavakyas and they appear in different places in the Upanishads or Vedas. But there are 4 popularly known Mahavakyas from 4 different Upanishads and one from each of the Vedas. There are 4 Vedas. And it is often used to drive a point of Atma Brahma Aikya, that oneness. It is said that every Mahavakya is complete by itself and has the potential to grant liberation to a fit student, Uttama Adhikari. A story is often illustrated by the Vedanta teachers to connect the teachings in these 4 Mahavakyas and to provide a roadmap to the sadhakas like you and I as to how to look at this. Let's go through that story. The first Mahavakya, there is a guru and a teacher. The guru says, Pragnanam Brahma. Consciousness is Brahman. This is from the Aitareya Upanishad, from Rig Veda. It declares that consciousness, the spiritual core that enlivens each one of us, is the same all-pervading consciousness in all beings and things. Pragnanam Brahma. This is called a Lakshana Vakya, a statement of definition. He tells this to the disciple. Disciple goes back, reflects on that statement. After reflecting, he still has doubts. Just like any other good student, he goes back to the guru and asks, I don't understand. Then how do I discover my true nature? And in the second Mahavakya, Guru gives him the Upadesha. Upadesha Vakya, statement of instruction. And the Guru tells the disciple, Tat Tvam Asi, that thou art. You are that. This is from the Chandogya Upanishad, Samaveda, that he tells the student that you are of the same essential nature as that of Supreme Brahman. You are not this limited jiva that you imagine to be. Tat Tvam Asi. The truth that you are seeking is none other than your own self and is found within. You are that. And this needs to be realized through deep self-inquiry, vichara. Second Mahavakya. Upadesha Vakya. Now, the disciple is a sincere seeker. He goes back, goes through meditation and contemplation. After overcoming his viparita bhavana, his habitual tendencies, and discovers the truth, rediscovers the truth, comes back to the teacher, filled with his intimate experience of the truth. His experience is the nature of this Mahavakya, which is a statement of experience, Anubhava Vakya. What is that? Aham Brahma Asmi. Aham Brahma Asmi. I am that Brahman. From Bruhadaranyaka Upanishad, from the Yajurveda, this third Mahavakya is a Anubhava Vakya. Once the disciple is established in this true nature, Brahma Samstiti, Atma Brahma Samstiti, Guru advises him constantly revel in that, constantly abide in that self. That nature of abidance is expressed in the next Mahavakya, which is called as Anusandhana Vakya, a statement of constant practice. I am Atma Brahma. This self is Brahman from the Mandukya Upanishad, from the Atharva Veda. See, this story is a great roadmap for all of us seekers. First, we need to do the Shravana. Shravanam, as much as we can soak it in terms of the self-knowledge, followed by Mananam, reflecting on the statement, followed by contemplation and constant meditation, the Nididhyasana. See, this word Brahman is not very common, but the word God is. I've shared this story before, but just for the benefit of newcomers, once a Western devotee of Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi asked him, can you show me God? Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi said, I can show you. I do not know if you will be able to see him. This man felt very insulted and said, if you can show him, I can see him. I have eyes, you know. What he did not realize is that one needs more than these physical eyes to see God. You need the gnana chakshuda, eyes of wisdom. One must have that true knowledge. But the man insisted. Then Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi sat in front of him, raised his finger, and started moving from one side to the other, one side to the other, one side to the other. 5, 10, 15 minutes went by. And then the man was sitting there, waiting for some sort of vision of God, like they show in the movies, some blue light appearing in front. Nothing of that nature happened. Finally, the man asked, I thought you were going to show me God, Maharshi. Where is he? But the man, you have not shown me anything, he said. Bhagwan said, I've been showing you God for the last 15 minutes. What is this? It is the finger that is moving back and forth. Bhagwan said, if I cut this finger and keep it aside and place it on this table, do you think it will move on its own? What is that is giving that life principle? What is that life principle? And that life principle, he said, the Upanishads call it as brahman, supreme reality, consciousness, the absolute. It calls it the Atman, Om, that pure awareness, Sat Swarupa, or pure existence, Chaitanya Swarupa, or Chit Swarupa, pure consciousness, Gnana Swarupa, Ananda Swarupa, Sukha Swarupa. All these are synonyms of the same Satvastu. In the Upanishads, Brahman is said to be the source for all creation, and it is also our true nature. Kenopanishad has one of the best definitions. Shrotrasya shrotram manaso manoyat vacho havacham savu pranasya pranah चक्षुरुश्चक्षुरतिमुच्य धीराः प्रेत्यास्माल्लोकात् अमृता bhavanti. That which is not seen, but because of which our eyes are able to see. That which cannot be described by words, but because of which our speech is able to describe all other things. That which is not heard by our ears, but because of which our ears are able to hear, that is Brahman. What a beautiful way to illustrate. That Brahman, we also saw from the Taittiriya Upanishadic quote last week. Satyam Gnanam Anantam Brahma. So if this entire thing is only Brahman, nothing but Brahman, the divinity in me is nothing but the divinity everywhere, then why am I seeing such diversity? Remember that song, Brahma Mokate, or that half a line of Advaita Vedanta from Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji. Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. So, in verse number 227 in Viveka Choodamani, Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji clarifies that. Yadidam sakalam vishvam nana rupam pratitam agnanat. Yadidam sakalam vishvam nana rupam pratitam agnanat. Tatsarvam brahmaiva pratyastat ashesha bhavana dosham. One more time together. Yadidam sakalam vishvam nana rupam pratitam agnanat tatsarvam brahmaiva pratyastat ashesha bhavana dosham. Yadidam sakalam vishvam. This entire universe, because of our ignorance, agnana, appears to be diverse forms. Nana rupam pratitam agnanat. To put it in our Puja Gurudev's language. Because of the non-apprehension of Brahman, we misapprehend the pluralistic world. Remember that rope and the snake example. Because of the non-apprehension of the rope, we misapprehend the snake. Tat sarvam brahmaiva. Everything is nothing but Brahman. This is the declaration. Which is free from all limitations of our human thought. Ashesha bhavana dosham. How this is to be understood, he explains it in the next verse. Those who are following, verse number 228. Mrutkarya bhutopi mrudo na bhinnaha kumbhosti sarvatra tu mrutsvarupat. Mrutkarya bhutopi mrudo na bhinnaha kumbhosti sarvatra tu mrutsvarupat. Na kumbharupam prutagasti kumbha kuto mrusha kalpita nama matraha. One more time together. Mrutkarya bhutopi mrudona bhinnaha kumbhosti sarvatra tu mrutsvarupat na kumbharupam prutagasti kumbha कुतो मृषा कल्पितनाममात्रः मृत्कार्य भूतोऽपि मृदो न भिन्नः. See, there are many pots. Example. What are they made of? They are all made out of the same clay. Here, Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji is bringing in a direct analogy used by Rishi Aruni to teach his son Shvetaketu in Chandogya Upanishad 6.1.4. What does he do? He brings in the concept of unity in diversity. Meaning, just as when we know there is a single lump of clay, it reveals all objects made from that clay, known by many names. You can make a plate out of that clay. You can make a jar out of that clay. You can call it a jar. You can call it a jug. You can call it a pot. But essence is what? Clay. So too, knowing the single reality of the world of Brahman, it reveals the nature of all other manifestations. What are they? They are all names. And differences being merely verbal distinctions. The famous quote from Chandogya Upanishad, it says, Vacharambanam vikaro namadheyam. Very famous quote. We might assign different names and modifications. They are all the same modifications of the same reality. Just verbal distinctions. No change in the fundamental, essential reality. Let us do one more. A very important Veda Vakya. Very lucky today. ब्रह्मैवेदं विश्वमित्येव वाणी ब्रह्मैवेदं विश्वमित्येव वाणी श्रौती ब्रूते अथर्वनिष्ठा वरिष्ठा ब्रह्मैवेदं विश्वमित्येव वाणी श्रौतिर्ब्रूते अथर्वनिष्ठा वरिष्ठा तस्मादेतत् ब्रह्ममात्रं हि विश्वम् तस्मादेतत् ब्रह्ममात्रं हि विश्वम् नादिष्टानाद् भिन्नतारोऽपि तस्य. One more time together. ब्रह्मैवेदं विश्वमित्येव वाणी श्रौतिर्भ्रूते अथर्वनिष्ठा वरिष्ठा तस्मादेतत् ब्रह्ममात्रं हि विश्वम् नाधिष्ठानाद् भिन्नतारोऽपि तस्य. This universe is all Brahman, nothing but Brahman. Brahma eva idam Vishwam. This is the Upanishadic Vakya from the Mundaka Upanishad, which belongs to the Atharva Veda. Brahmai Vedam Vishwamidam Varishtam. This universe is nothing but Brahman. This is the last word of the Vedantic knowledge. Sarvam kalvidam brahma. Everything is Brahman. See, now we have some overview of the Mahavakya. What it means? That Atma Brahma Aikya. Some definitions of Vyasti, microcosm, Samashti, macrocosm. What we will do, let's spend some good chunk of time in understanding the Mahavakya. How, bereft of all these micro and macro conditionings, that Sat Chit Ananda principle is the same. Meaning, in simple words, the divinity in me is that divinity everywhere. That divinity in every being. That Sarvatma Bhava. That is where this is elevated in our discussion. Let us stop here for this week. After the closing prayer, I'll open it up for our interactive session. Please stay back for that. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhave. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrutyorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnaat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah. Harihi Om Tat Sat. May all be happy. May all be healthy. May all see auspiciousness. May none suffer. Om peace, peace, peace. With that, I will open it up for our interactive session. Please stay back. Would appreciate that.